I'm going to talk a little bit about meta keywords. And meta keywords are something we do not use. It may be shocking and be a little counterculture to the whole industry of SEO, search engine optimization, when we preach the idea of keywords but we don't use them in the meta tags. I think it's an important thought process and idea to say that your content should be king, not the meta keywords, and I'm going to show you a few reasons why we don't use them. I'm going to do a quick Google search for a page. How does Google work? And when you see it, you notice we come up on the first page, number 4. When we look at this page, this is a site, our site, but the page itself is a number of years old. It talks about how Google works as a business. It doesn't really tell any secrets about how Google, the algorithm works, but it does very well. I mean, we're right there with Google. This page has about 1,150 words, and so it's a very authoritative page. And at the bottom, it has a number of references to real articles. It uses the word Google about 45 times, and so you'd think, well, that's important. That comes in under 4%. You don't want to get over 5% on keyword density in the page in words. It only uses the word work 5 times, and so you'll notice that even though it's a pretty important part of that string, it's not something we emphasize on the page. When you look at the actual code here, to see what we coded and how we won, you'll notice that we have our title tag here, we have our description here, and we do not have any keywords. We won without any keywords on this page. One of the reasons we've stopped using keywords is we didn't think they were doing much a number of years ago. Over 2 years ago, on Google's own website, on their Webmaster Central blog, Google stated Google does not use keyword meta tags in web rankings, so we stopped doing it. They even noticed, if you wanted to search a little longer down the page, that they stopped not a decade ago, but a number of years ago. So maybe after 2005 they stopped using it. You can read this and watch the explanation if you just go ahead and type in why Google doesn't use meta tags, and you'll find it. The other reason not to use meta tags is that when you use keywords in a site, a lot of times you can put in words that are not important to what you're doing. They're not really valuable. And that's something that we look at all the time. We're looking at value of words, and here's some words on our site that are working well. But if we go into sites, and here's a client of ours that we're working on changing their site, you can notice it's an old site that we're going to improve and have some additional information on it. But as we look at the page source, we're going to see that there are keywords in here, right in here. And if we wanted to figure out if those are actually in the site, let's just go ahead and put billiards in. I'm going to search it in this site real quick, and the word billiards comes up 0 times in this page. This is a page about billiards, so you'd think it's pretty important to put in there. And so it's important not to lie to Google. One of the things that has hurt this site is that we as a site have told it billiards should be here, and nowhere in the site did we say it. Now we do say billiard if we put it in twice. Once is in this scrolling thing. The other one I can't even find. It's not highlighting. The problem with saying in any sort of scrolling item like this is running on a little JavaScript, so it's a client-side application. Google does not do a good job of reading that, and so anything in here I'm guessing is not being read. We want to make sure that, one, the words we use in our meta tags, if we have to use them, actually show up in the page, and 2, we only use a few. I would use no more than 3 per page. The concept's a little bit old. In fact, I learned of it from Bruce Clay a number of years ago, back when the internet was new, and he used a term called silos. Keyword silos are kind of like grain silos. If you had a farm, you'd keep your corn silo filled with corn and your bean silo filled with beans. You don't want to mix that. So when you're building site pages and we're picking out keywords for the page, we want to keep those very narrow. On our page itself over here, again, we use a very specific topic on Google, lots of words. And on this site, we're going to be changing the way the page ranks to follow keywords that are a little more effective. And we're going to make sure that on the back side that there is an actual word on the page for anything we put, not only in the description, but the keywords. If it doesn't show up on the page and it's in the keywords, I believe Google calls us a liar. It would be as bad as going to your local library and going to the librarian and they gave you the location of the book and you walk down the aisle and the book's just not there, you would say, well, you pointed me in the wrong direction, and so you're going to lose some respect for that librarian. So again, we at Red Fusion Media really advocate not using keywords. If you do use them, let's make sure they're in the page. And instead of focusing on meta keywords, let's focus on the keywords actually in the page that's being read.